Welcome to Becoming a Better You podcast. I am your host, Coach Paul. While doing over a decade in prison, I faced many ups and downs, including losing my mom and stepdad to cancer and struggling with my drug and alcohol addiction. It took 9 years in before I was tired of the way I was living and decided to turn my life around. And now it's my mission to help others do the same. For the past 3 years, I've built an elite online fitness platform to help others gain control over their mindset, health, and fitness so that they can overcome all of life's obstacles. Join me as we tackle difficult challenges, overcome obstacles, share our health and wellness goals, and motivate each other through the process. Together we can grow, transform, and become better. Are you ready? Then let's go. All right. What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Coach Paul, back for another episode of Becoming a Better You with Coach Paul. And I'm super excited. I got a good friend of mine, a past client of mine, and someone that I actually trust with my own body, my own health, right? And, we have a completely different story, but because of our goals in life of just helping others become better, we've been brought together and we've been able to contribute together to make the world a better place. His name is Dr. Jeff, and I'm going to let Dr. Jeff introduce himself. Dr. Jeff, what's up, bro?
What up, Paul? Hey, thanks so much for having me on. This is it's an absolute honor to hang out with you. I mean, hey, we hang out in person all the time. Might as well do it officially now.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, no, just tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a chiropractor. I got a practice here in Castro Valley. I'm like right down the street from your place over in Hayward. And I've kind of gotten to where I've gotten in life by I don't know. The best way to put it is just working hard, you know? I have a family out in Livermore. I love the Bay Area. We've been here for quite a while. And my purpose, my drive is just take care of as many people as I possibly can using your body's natural abilities. I mean, you and I talk about this all the time, Paul, that it's like our body is created perfectly. Our life can be created perfectly. We just need to let that happen and get rid of the junk, get rid of the garbage. You know, in your case, one of the things I always love about working with you is that you always know that your clients' best selves are already in them. And it's just a matter of finding out how to get that out of them. I do the same thing in chiropractic. We just do it from a healthcare point of view. We do it from a spinal point of view. We know that people can be pain-free. We know that people can live great, wonderful, successful lives. But if there's stuff in the way, man, there's stuff in the way.
Yeah, no, for sure. That makes a lot of sense. And I think it's interesting and important for the audience to kind of have an understanding here, because the last person I interviewed and my last few episodes, I talk about my past and I talk about the things I've been through and the obstacles I've overcome to get to where I am. And it's crazy because, realistically, my past shouldn't have ever brought me to you. And there's like no similarities in our past lifestyles or experience, but our futures are very much aligned. And I just how did you get to become a chiropractor? Like, how did you get there?
So for me, I actually had a little bit of a atypical path getting to a chiropractic. A lot of my friends, a lot of people that I've met in chiropractic, their dad was a chiropractor, their mom was a chiropractor, their sister was a chiropractor, their uncle was a chiropractor. For me, I was actually going to undergrad in order to be a pharmacist, which is a way different path, right? I was in undergrad as a junior in college, and I was studying biochemistry because that's where I was supposed to do. That was kind of like, I grew up in the world where it's like, you go to college, you get a good degree, you go become a doctor, and that's kind of what I went in going for. And then, to be honest, I was working in a pharmacy as a tech, and I was putting pills from the big bottle in the little bottle, and there was only so much of that I could do. And I just found that, honestly, there's nothing wrong with it. Pharmacy's got its place. Medicine has its place. The reality is for me, it just wasn't solving problems. It was covering them up. It was masking over stuff that's been there for years in a lot of these people's cases. They were just continuing to go after it day after day after day after day. I've seen the same people with the same problems constantly coming in, and not really doing anything about it, just taking the pill because that's what they're supposed to do. And I found a chiropractor kind of by accident. I was getting really bad migraines and headaches around the same time in college. And so one of my roommates was like, hey man, you got to go check out this whole chiropractic thing. And I was like, I don't even know what the hell that is. To be totally honest, I knew nothing about chiropractic at that point. I knew my mom had gone to one, but she had like back pain. And I was like, they're not gonna be able to help with headaches. They're not gonna be able to help with migraines. But my roommate at the time was like, dude, you gotta do it. You gotta do it. You gotta do it. So I eventually go, and I met this guy, great chiropractor. And oh God, I mean, the reality is within 6 weeks, I knew that chiropractic was what I was supposed to do. And it's so cool because it's one of those life-changing moments. It's like we look at our life, and I always find that there's going to be 5 or 6 straight up left, right turns. You got to pick one. And this was one of those turning points for me that my life would be very, very, very different now if I hadn't made that left turn versus a right turn. And again, it's one of those things. I found it. I fell in love with it. I knew that it was the right way to treat the body. It was the right way to heal people. Again, using our body's natural ability. I mean, I always laugh and I always say we don't do anything magical. We just hack the body's natural ability to heal itself, and we just exploit that. We just keep playing with that, and the body just does well because of that. But yeah, so ended up getting into chiropractic that way. Went out to chiropractic school in Los Angeles. Eventually moved up to the Bay Area and founded the chiropractic office that I'm in now in 2017. So again, yeah, very different path than you. You know, it was one of those, I was kind of told what to do, decided not to do that, and then did my own thing. But the reality is it was based on hard work. It was based on a lot of resistance from my own family. It was based on a lot of you're not doing what you're supposed to do. But hey, I got to where I am. I'm pretty happy. I like to think I'm relatively successful. My family seems to enjoy themselves, so we at least start there.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Actually, Neil, now that I'm realizing we do have some things in common. We were both drug dealers at one point.
Yeah.
You were just doing it legally,
no,
man.
That's cool. Yeah, I was more so like a drug dealer's assistant in my case.
No, I was the man. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you know
what?
Would go to you. People, all I did was just ring them out.
Hey, you know, I find it interesting too, because you talked about the same people having the same problem, right? And if we look at social media, right, and I love to use social media as an example, you see the same people complaining about the same problem constantly, but they're not willing or able to do what they need to do to fix it, right? And then once eventually they take the steps to fix it, they actually start to see results, and they're like, oh, why didn't I do this so long ago, right? And I feel like that's very similar with like what you do, and to kind of tap into a little bit more, like so before I met you, I never knew anything about chiropractic either. And you had mentioned you had never known anything about chiropractic. And then I ran into you. I actually ran into someone that was working for you at an event while I was working for Orange Theory. We ended up taking an Orange Theory class. I came to saw you, and I've been seeing you on and off pretty consistently ever since, you know. Yeah. And I've referred a lot of people to you because I found the value in it, right? And I think it's imperative for people to understand, like the audience to understand, like it's important to invest time, energy, and money into bettering yourself in all areas, not just in like hiring a personal trainer, not just in like hiring a nutritionist or hiring a nanny, you know, like the different areas of life that we struggle in. It's important to reach out for help. And it's crazy because I have people hit me up all the time. They're like, hey, Coach Paul, I have back issues. Cool, go see a chiropractor. I got one I can refer you to.
Yeah.
Oh, no, but does that really work? I wouldn't. You asked me for my advice. I gave you my advice, and then you asked me if that's good advice. Like, and it's crazy that we kind of live in a society where that's a common thing, you know. And you know, you mentioned working hard, right? And I think that's super important, right? Like, so many people want quick results, right?
Yeah.
Right. They want the quick results. Like, you didn't get to where you're at quickly. Right? Like you had to work for it. You had to work hard to get there, right?
Yeah. I always talk about that, especially when I work with young doctors that just get out of chiropractic college. You know, it's so funny because I think it's probably true in any business, right? When you get your degree, when you get that piece of paper on your wall, I mean, I look in your background, I see all those diplomas, I see all those certificates, right? You went through a lot of training to be able to do what you do. And I always say, that's not the ticket to the game. That's the invitation to tryouts. I mean, right? Just the fact that I got a diploma that says, oh, I'm a chiropractor, That doesn't mean I'm a good chiropractor. That doesn't mean I'm a great chiropractor. That doesn't mean that I'm even a good business person, right? Doesn't even mean I'm a good person. All it is saying that legally, I have now the ticket to show up to tryouts. And then you got to put your time in,
I
right?
like
I
that.
mean,
I like
I'm sure
that.
the same thing happened with you. You don't get your personal training certificate. You don't get your nutritional degrees. And then just be like, okay, all the clients come to me because I know everything. All it says is, yep, you legally are allowed to now show up. I don't even say it's not even showing up to the game. It's just showing up to the practices. I mean, I've been in practice for 12 years now. And I think my first 5 years in practice, my wife and I actually had this exact conversation a couple of weeks ago. We were just chatting about where we are now compared to where we were 10 years ago. And it's just so funny the dichot or the contrast, right? I was working 7 days a week, 10 to 12 hours every single day. I was in the office treating patients. And then I would leave the office and then I would go do some type of either marketing or development or some type of outreach. I was going to health fairs. I was going to businesses. I was getting the word. I was telling people about what I do and how it's different than what other people do, and how what we do is not just as a profession, but even as a chiropractor. Like the type of chiropractic that we do is very specific, and it's not what your typical snap, crackle, pop kind of chiropractor. We do a much more corrective based work. We do much more intensive work. And so it was a lot of effort in the beginning. And then once you start building that and you build that momentum, it's like a snowball. It just keeps going and going and going and going. And you mentioned something that was really cool about goal setting and the combination of hard work, but also kind of working on multiple areas of your life at the same time. You can't just do one thing. Um, that's juggling. And I always find that the funny analogy with juggling is as one thing goes up, something has to come down. And I see that so often in young professionals is, all right, I'm going to work on my business. I'm going to work on my business. I'm going to work on my business, but my family life is falling apart. Oh, okay. Let me work on my family life, work on my family life, work on my family life, but my business starts to fail. Okay. But you know what? I'm going to work on my spirituality. I'm going to work on my spirituality. But so it's like, it's this juggling act where you're constantly throwing things up in the air. And what I have found is, for me, I kind of take a spinning plates method where I put a lot of effort. You remember those guys, like they got the big pole and they got the plate on it, right? You put a lot of effort in to get a plate spinning, and then you move on to the next thing, but you don't forget the last thing you just worked on. So, you work. Okay, good. That's going. Now let me move on to the next thing. You work. But let's come back and hit this one once. And okay, now let's keep doing this one. Okay, good. Now I got these two things. They're going really good. Okay, now let me work on that third thing. Work a lot on that one. But okay, don't forget to hit this one. Hit this one. Okay, now I can keep going. And you just build that way. And so one of the most important things that I've done personally in the sense of goal setting is I draw goal boards and I do mindset work, and I actually draw it in a circle, and it just works for me. It really works for me. I put my main goals right in the center of the page, and then like the spokes of a wheel, I have off to the sides my fitness goals, my financial goals, my family goals, my spiritual goals, my time with friends goals, and my vacation. I could put up those are the top. And the way I like to think about it is, okay, if I can touch each one of those today, it's a successful day. And there are days where I'm like, okay, I'm just going to work on this, right? Like if I'm up at the ski resort, the mountain, hanging out with my kids, it's 99% hanging out with my family. But on the other hand, I'm touching my physical goal. I spend 10, 15 minutes talking with my wife. Okay, that's helping out with that thing, but then I'm also thinking about the business. So it's like I am always hitting every single goal every single day. And that's a really cool way of making sure that you're working on all the areas of your life at once. And I always forget what coach it is. Oh God, the rules of 1%, right? If you can become 1% better in every area of your life, that compounds over and over and over again to make huge, massive changes. And I think those, and again, I would hope you would agree that those are sustainable changes too.
Oh, most definitely, most definitely. And I think that's important for the audience to hear, right? When we talk about goal setting, when we talk about establishing goals for our lives, right? It's important to understand what those goals are and the steps that are going to take you to the goals, and then having different goals. I work with a coach, right? And he always talks about 3 things when you're setting goals, right? When you're setting intentions for what you're doing for your week, for your month, for your year, it's health, wealth, and relationships, right? And if you focus on these 3 tickets right here, so for myself, wealth, I'm working on my business. I'm constantly finding new ways to get better at my business, right? Health, right? I established specific health and fitness goals, right, that I want to accomplish and how I'm going to get there. Relationships. That's relationships with my family, relationships with my stepsons, relationship with my friends, even business relationships or just associations with other people that either can benefit from me or I can benefit from them. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and Alex Hormozy was talking about, like, when he talks about friendship, right? And he was talking about it's a unit of time measured with a unit of positivity, right? And the unit of time and the unit of positivity should match up, right? Meaning if I spend an hour with you and 45 minutes of that is positivity and 15 minutes of it isn't, at least it was a beneficial hour. As opposed to I spend an hour and the whole hour you're complaining about your wife. That's not a relationship that I want to be a part of, And so like, and that's why, like, I enjoy this relationship I've built with you, both not just as a client but as a friend as well, even as a mentor at times, because I go to see you, you come to see me, but we talk about business a lot, right? And we talk about growth and self-growth, right? And I think that's important. Like, this audience is all about becoming a better you. Like, this podcast is about becoming a better you, right? And that's why I'm so happy to have you here, because we want to become better, right? And in order to become better, you got to touch different areas of life, and I think there's a lot of people that tell me at times, are like, well, of course you're super driven. You've seen so much failure in your life that if you're not super driven, you're going to go back to that. You have so much to lose, right? Yeah. And I think it's important to see, like everyone has that if you focus on it, right? Everyone has that opportunity to be driven. Everyone has that opportunity to be successful. Everyone has that opportunity to set goals and accomplish those goals if they truly want them.
Oh, 100%. Driven is one of those funny things. I find that, oh God, it's tough because drive is the only thing I think you can't. Again, I'm going to apologize if I step on anyone's toes here, but I think drive is one of those things you can't teach. That's got to be inside. I think you can develop it. I think you can practice it. I think that you can get better at it. But it's really difficult. It's really difficult, I think, to move forward if you don't have that internal push to become quote unquote great, or to move forward. It doesn't matter to be great. I mean, just to do something, right? Like, if you're going to go in a direction, you have to have a roadmap to get there, but you also have to have the gas in the car to get there. You can go and get a map. You can go and get a coach who's going to help you develop those skills. But at the end of the day, it really does going to take that little bit of personal responsibility. It's going to take that personal push that you have to go in the right direction. Honestly, you could even go in the wrong direction for a little bit. And that's where it's helpful to have, friends and coaches on your side. But the reality is if you don't have that personal gas pedal, if you don't have that gas pedal, it becomes very difficult to move in any direction. I have this little saying that we use in our practice all the time is it's so much easier to tame the wild than it is to raise the dead.
Interesting. Tame the wild and to raise the dead.
Yeah, so it's like when I talk about, like, when we're looking at, so right now in our office, we're doing a lot of hiring because our practice is getting ready to basically double in size. And so we're developing a lot of staff right now. And when I look at two applicants, I look at one applicant who can be a little bit crazy and a little bit wild and have a lot of energy. And I'm like, okay, they're a little intense for me, but I can teach that. I can coach that. I can work with that. But someone who's just flat and stagnant, has no motivation, has no energy, just looking for a 9 to 5, not even just, they're very blah. That's a very difficult thing for me to coach. That's a very difficult thing for me to develop. So like I said, it's easy to, if you got that energy, if you got that focus, if you have that passion, oh my God, it's so much easier. But that's me being a lazy employer. I want to make sure that I have good people on my team.
Well, no, but that makes sense though, because I feel that in our society, so many people don't have the passion. They don't have a direct understanding of why they want to do what they do. So they have nothing to push them through the tough times, right? Because I don't wake up every morning at 4:30 in the morning motivated to get up at 4:30 a.m. I don't want to get up at 4:30 in the morning, but I do it, right? My first client's not till 6 a.m. I wake up an hour and a half before I see my first human being other than my girlfriend in the bed next to me, right? Because I am so motivated to reach my goals that there are certain mindset techniques and I have a certain routine that I utilize and certain things I want to get done to spark my momentum for the day, right? And that's because like I have a huge why, like I want to impact hundreds of thousands of people. Like I went through years, a decade of incarceration. I lost my mom to cancer, my stepdad to cancer, and now I want to utilize my experience, right? I want to utilize my knowledge, my education, and just my motivational willingness to change the world, right? And so I have this huge why, I have this huge purpose, right? And if I don't stay focused on that why, focus on that purpose, right, it's real easy to hit that snooze button. It's real easy to say I'm not going to work out today. It's real easy to say, oh, you know what, I'm just going to slide into Jack in the Box and get me I was going to say a burrito. I don't even know if they have burritos at Jack in the Box, but like it's real easy to just not make smart decisions if I'm not connected to the why. And I tell my clients this all the time. Like most of my clients are parents, right? What is your why? Your damn kids. If your kids don't motivate you to get your ass up and get to work, then there's a problem there. There's a problem if you're allowing yourself to set a negative example for your family, for your kids, for your wife, for your husband, right? Because you are not connected to how important that really is,
Yeah, and it's so funny, right? The old verbiage or the adage that's when the why's big enough, the hows take care of themselves, right? You mentioned cancer, and it's kind of a little bit of a side bit, but I think it's relevant. I was 19 years old and I got diagnosed with cancer, and it was one of those things where when that hits you, right? It's like, okay, what do I got to do?
Yeah,
that's it. What do I have to do? There's no hemming and hawing. There's no, well, let me think about it. Let me try this. Well, let me look at this. Well, let me do that. It's okay. What do I do? Right? It's
but not everyone approaches that. I want to put it out there. Not a lot of people are like, well, fuck, I got cancer. I'm gonna die. Like my life is just over. Right. So you chose not to do that. Right. And that's what separates a lot of people. And I'm trying to get this in people's heads, like that thought process of I have no choice. Okay, what do I got to do? Right. That's a different mindset right there. So keep going. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, no, it's interesting you mentioned that. But yeah, for me, it was just, okay, what's next? It was like, that was literally, I remember sitting in the doctor's office. My mom is sitting there next to me on my right. And the guy's like, all right, well, we've basically discovered there's definitely cancer there. And he's like, I'm really sorry to tell you. And I was like, okay, cool. What's next? Like, that was just my mindset at that point. It was just that drive that like, okay, well, what do we do? He's like, all right, well, we're going to do this procedure. We're going to do this procedure. We're going to schedule this surgery. I'm like, sweet. So when do we start? It's like, it's just, you can kind of get bogged down. And I think that's what it is. Like when you have a big why, like for me, it was just like, well, I'm not going to die. Like I'm 19 years old. What do I got to do? The hows take care of themselves. Chemo, got it. Cool. Surgery, got it. Cool. Rehab, got it. Cool. What's next? And you just do the things that you're supposed to do when you have that big why. Same thing for me in business. And I think the same thing for you in life is, you know what? I'm going to help people. I'm going to make sure that people don't suffer. I'm going to make sure that this world is literally left a better place than when I first came into it. Yeah. So what's next? Okay, what do we do? Okay, I got to go and do this. All right, now I got to do this. So, honestly, at 9:00 at night, there's times where I'm just exhausted and I want to lay down and hang out and watch some TV with my wife. But the reality is I know the next day I have to be prepped for the 150 patients that we're going to see that day. So it's like, okay, let me get my notes done. Let me get this done. Let me get that done. So that when I get to the next day, I'm ready to serve versus kind of stumbling over myself. So again, it's like when your why is big enough, when your reason to do something is big enough, the hows are easy. You just do it. You can ask the question. I think that's cool too. And that's where I like coaching, right? So I have a personal coach. I have a business coach. I work with you, Paul. And it's like, what I have found is just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And that's kind of a cool mentality to have because my why is already big enough in business. My why is great on my family side, right? And now it's like, okay, so what do I do to get to that goal? So I look at people like you, Paul, who are way more successful than me in certain areas of your life, right? Like you're way better than me in fitness. Like there's no doubt about that.
Oh, shucks, man. Thanks, bro.
Yeah, right. And nutrition, same thing, right? So it's like, I'll go to Paul and I'll say, hey, Paul, how do I get swole AF? How do I get fit? How do I get over that 8-foot wall at my Spartan race? And you're like, this is how we do it. Let's train, right? But in the same way, I go to some of my business coaches and I'm like, you know what? I've had this problem and I need a solution for that problem. How do I do it? So, and that's what's kind of cool is, again, having the coach and having the helping. You know, going back to, and I mentioned something about goal boards, and this is what I want your audience to hear. I think like if we can get one thing out of this, visualization of your goals is super, 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 super important. And I think you agree with me on this one. We've talked about this a couple of times. Like just put it on your wall, man. Put it on your wall. Write it on your mirror. Do something. And my why is right huge in the center. And so I have my top goals that I want for my year right in the center, but right above that is a picture of my family. Because at the end of the day, the reason I'm doing what I'm doing is to provide for my family, to make sure that my children grow up in a happy, healthy home, that they grow up in a world that like loves them, in a world that they can feel supported, in a world where they feel empowered. And so what all my goals are around are providing that for my family. So my why is, you know what? I want to grow up in a world my son and my daughter know that if they put a little bit of work in and they focus, that they can get a lot done. Great. So let's go do things that show them that. And so I have that giant visualization right in the center of my board. I put pictures, not like a vision board. Like I don't like fake my life. I actually put pictures of my life in there. I have pictures of me and my kids. I have pictures of us on ski trips. I have pictures of us at the lake. I have pictures of us on these great vacations because that's why we're doing what we're doing. And I have pictures of my team, like over my business goals, because the reality is my team, my office, the staff that we have, that's what allows us to do what we do. And again, you know, what's one of the great things about having like 9-10 employees too is that's a big why as well. You know, making sure that those people are supporting their families and supporting their goals. And so one of the things that we always talk about in the office is we have team meetings and we're just like, all right, it's not just a matter of like, okay, what numbers do we have to meet this week? Or how many patient visits are we going to have? Or, okay, who's going to start care? And okay, what do we need to do to help? It's, hey doc, where are you at with those personal goals? I mean, you know, Dr. Stephanie well, and I've been working with her on her personal side of life and goals and just being like, she's running all these races. She's doing Spartans. She's climbing mountains. And it's like, okay, how does what you do here affect your life outside of here? Because again, your life is what's important. It's just, these are all the things that we do to help you provide for your life. And so again, visualization's super important. Goal boards, super important. And making sure that when you visualize stuff, again, it's not, I'm not a fan of fate. I'm not a fan of like, oh, grab the magazine and cut out the guy who looks like he's ripped and be like, put that on your board. You know, put a picture of you up there at your healthiest, you know, or something along the lines of that. Because the reality is it's going to be much more powerful when you see yourself versus seeing somebody else. As much as I want to have a picture of you, Paul, right there next to my fitness goals, it's not
you
me.
Already did, bro.
You know, but I have a picture of me climbing a wall because I looked pretty badass in that picture. But it was like, all right, cool. Like that's my visual. That's my, like, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to climb walls. I'm trying to jump over things. I'm trying to lift heavy stuff, right? You know, sometimes when we're in the gym, we say different words, but it's all about pushing myself to that next level.
Although I do gotta personally, right? I gotta disagree just a little bit about like the vision board idea, right?
Really?
because I do feel like a lot of people, including myself, there's areas of their life they've never actually been, right? So like for myself, like I have a vision board here at my gym on the wall, right? And I have things regarding relationship, regarding my business, and regarding my physical fitness that like I have a picture of the Spartan trifecta medals on there because this year I will finish the Spartan trifecta. Well, I have a picture of a guy with a black belt. I'm not a black belt yet, but I will be a black belt before the end of the year, right? So I have these specific pictures of certain things. Like I've never been to Hawaii. I have a picture of Hawaii because I will go to Hawaii with Allison. You know, like so like for me, like my vision board is like it's kind of a vision / goal board. I want to see the goals, a picture of the goal that I've never been able to accomplish before. It's something because what I do every morning when I come into my gym is I go to that's the first thing I do when I walk in. I turn the alarm off. I go to that vision board and I say, I will go to Hawaii with Allison. I will get my black belt. I will, because I'm drilling this in my head every single day, right? So that as soon as I think like, oh man, I don't really want to do this XYZ. Like, no, I have a goal right there on that board. I can go look at that board, but like, no, I want to look like that guy in the board. Like, I have a picture, 200 pounds, 18% body fat. I've never been that exact specific number, right? I picked a specific number of a goal, how I want to end the year looking, and so I have but then I can sit down and map it out through the year and figure, okay, when am I going to do these races? The races in 6 months, then I can dial in on my specific type of weight training for building the lean muscle that I'm looking for. Like, so I think like the vision board can be super, super helpful for us to see what it is we're trying to accomplish, especially when we're talking about people that have never lost weight or lost a significant amount of weight or have never done a race or have never built a business or even got married or, like there's certain things that so many people have never actually done. And if we're able to put those in front of us and say, okay, this is what I will do. And this is someone that's already done it, that can be super beneficial.
I can see that. No, I appreciate that. I think, I'll agree with you. I'll concede that, hey, I'm willing to learn stuff too.
But here's the thing too, in the long run, it's really about what works for the person.
Yeah.
Right. What works for the person. So like right now, like I'm going through a very intense nutrition coaching program. Right. I'm really dialing in my nutrition a lot better. Right. And I'm starting to get some eye openers on different nutritional aspects that can be beneficial, right? Now I'm going to say it on air. I want everyone to know I think keto is absolutely stupid, right? but there's a very small percentage, and the statistics show that there is a very small percentage of people that can benefit from keto if done properly. Now, personally, I would never suggest keto for anyone, right? Professionally, I would never suggest keto for anyone. But there are keto coaches out there. And if you're listening to this and you're obsessed with wanting to do keto, then don't hire me. Go hire a keto coach, right? Someone that can walk you through the process safely. Just like if you want to get your back adjusted, don't ask your boyfriend or your girlfriend to do it. Go to a chiropractor. Like if you want, like I think that, and you talked about coaching, you talked about having different types of coaches in different areas of your life. And I feel the same way. Like I'm a firm believer in getting help from those that have done it before or that are professionals in that. I don't want to learn how to crack backs. I want to pay you to crack my back. I don't want to learn. Like there's certain things I don't want to learn. I don't want to learn how to fix a car. I have a buddy. He always makes fun of me because I don't know how to work my car. I don't care. I don't want to learn how to fix a car. I want to pay you to fix my car so then my car works so I can get to work and train people and educate people and help people with the nutrition and build programs and do things that I'm really good at and want to continue learning on,
So it's really interesting you mentioned that. I remember when I first, I don't want to put it like I don't want to say like started getting successful, but when I got into a point in my life where I felt financially comfortable, where I started feeling a little bit more stable, a little bit more, more successful, right?
Okay.
One of my really good friends, he just goes, hey, here's the thing. What's going to happen is once you have success, people are going to attach to you. People are going to start asking you for stuff. People are going to start looking to you. And in the sense of, and I love how you mentioned, it's like, don't do everything. Don't be everything. When we set our goals, right? It's like, I ask myself, perfect example is, I get an email probably every single day that's like, hey, we looked at your website and we would think that you should redo it.
I love those.
Yep. Or, you know what? Thousands of chiropractors across the country are now using this new technology in their office. You should do it too. And it's like, and the funny thing about it is like, I ask myself this question. I look at my goal board. I'm like, does that get me closer to my goal, further away from my goal, or has absolutely nothing to do with my goal? Right. And so when your whys are huge and you know where you're going, when you have your roadmap, it's just so much easier, right? So for example, like if this new piece of technology is going to help me serve thousands of diabetic neuropathy patients, that's not my goal. My goal is not to take care of diabetic neuropathy patients, right? So it's like I can just move on. Same thing. It's like, my website is basically built to take care of family, pediatrics, and spinal care. So it's like, if I get someone who's coming in and telling me they're going to make me the next best sports doctor, it's like, the reality is that's just not my focus. My focus is on taking care of people, right? In the way I take care of them. So it's always funny that's what happens. And I think it's really important, again, that visualization of goals, like we talked about, as anytime an opportunity comes into your life, ask yourself, it's like, does this get me closer to my goal, further away, or does that have absolutely nothing to do with my goal? So, for example, learning how to replace car parts on my car does not get me closer in any way to a goal. So it's like, you know what? But sending my car out to a shop or to the buddy who knows what he's doing allows me to get to work, allows me to have a more efficient commute that gets me to whatever I want. Or, like, I need a car that can go in the snow. So I don't build a car that needs to go in the snow. I go buy one because that gets me to my goal of spending more time with my family up in the mountains.
Yeah, and I have a client, and my client, he always tells me, like, hey, no, you should watch. And as soon as he says watch, I say no. No, I know you don't watch TV, but you really should check it. No, right? I just shut him down because I don't watch TV. Like, I have no intention of watching this next episode of whatever show you have that you want to suggest to me. Probably not going to sit down on a Friday night and watch whatever movie you just watched 3 times in a row. Like, it's not going to happen, right? Because it doesn't fall in line with my goals. It doesn't fall in line with my purpose, right?
Yeah.
There's always people reach out. It's just like you said, they always want to reach out and sell you on something that has nothing to do with what you're actually doing, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, I think that it's very important, and you said it yourself too, like, it's very important to stay focused on what it is that specific goal is, right? What is your goal and how are you going to get there? And then once you get there, what are you going to set for your next goal, right? Because because there's also so many people like, okay, I have a goal. I want to lose 10 pounds. All right, I lost 10 pounds. All right, I don't need a trainer no more. And then they gain 20. Like, why? Because you didn't change the lifestyle. You had a specific goal. You wanted to get there as fast as possible, and you had nothing after that. But not only did you have nothing after that, right? But you didn't actually establish a lifestyle change or specific habits that are going to help keep you moving forward in those specific goals.
Yeah.
And I think that's, like, in a society at large, we have so many. That's where things like keto come out, and these crazy fad diets, like lose 20 pounds by tomorrow, like, cool, and then gain 50 by next week. So I guess it doesn't really work, does it? Right? So it's kind of
again, I'm not a fitness guru in any way whatsoever. I'm not a nutritionist in any way whatsoever, but working with you, being relatively embedded in the healthcare field, this is where that 1%, I think, comes in. It's so much more efficient. If you can make a sustainable 1% change in your life, oh my God, that's going to be so much better for you in the long run than going all in on something for 2 weeks.
Yep.
Right. I mean, God, it's got to be so tough. I mean, I can only imagine in your world, Paul, it's got to be so infuriating when, like, you see these commercials. Well, you don't watch TV, so you hear these commercials of just like, oh, get your beach body in shape for the summer. And it's like, buy this pill, buy this, do that. And again, none of it has accountability. None of it has self-responsibility. It's all that external, outside in way of, and they're not even goals. It's like they sell you on the image. They sell you on that what you could be, but then they realize it's like, it's so short-lived. I think this is why it's really important to have lots of sustainable small goals.
Yeah. And it's a quick fix, right? And that's what it really boils down. It's a quick fix. And, like, people ask me all the time, like, how much weight can I lose in 12 weeks? I mean, that's really up to you. Like, everyone's body's different, right? Yeah. We got to determine what calorie intake is going to get you there. What specific type of movement? Do you have an injury? Do you hurt yourself along the way? Like you can't put a specific number on, but what I can say is 12 weeks from now, you'll be a lot healthier than you are right now. right?
Yeah, and reality is why are you going to lose? Why do you want to lose weight? Like, I mean, right? It's like how much? Who cares how much you can lose? It's a matter of what are you trying to like why are you trying to lose it in the first place?
Yeah, and how is it
You know,
going
we
to
have this
benefit you?
conversation with patients all the time. You know, one of the biggest, let's be honest, right? One of the biggest things we deal with are people in pain
Hmm.
and or having some type of symptom. And the reality is they're like, well, I just want to get better tomorrow. I'm like, I get it. I totally want you to get better tomorrow. But the reality is like when people come into our office with injuries that have been there for 10, 15, sometimes 20 years, you know, these are things that people did in their teenage years and just never, they're now in their 40s and they're quote unquote paying the price for it. And it's like, I'm not going to fix 20 years of bad behavior in 2 visits or 2 weeks. But what we can do is absolutely 100% allow your body to heal better. We can allow your body to operate better. We can allow your body to be in better homeostasis, to be in better balance, which at the end of the day is going to put you in a much better place tomorrow than it did yesterday. Now, if we do that consistently and reproducibly, you'll get consistent and reproducible results, right? I think you and I have talked about this all the time, that it's like consistent behavior yields consistent results.
Yep, exactly.
Right.
And I mean,
your
even
choices today lead to your results tomorrow. And even if it's a tiny little choice, right? I mean, that's the thing. Again, you do lots of little choices, it makes big difference. And then at the end of the day, your choice, right? What is it's like if you're happy with where you're going, keep doing what you're doing. If you want to move something in your life, you want to change something in your life, do something different.
yeah,
So, and again, and I can only encourage people to do it in a sustainable way. I mean, I'm sure you could probably speak to that way better than I can, just in the sense of your life, right? I mean, come on, talk about dramatic change of directions.
man, right?
You know, me going from pharmacy to chiropractic, that was a shift, but you know, you went from a different type of pharmacy to a very different type of healthcare.
Right. No, but even like currently, right? So let's just take like what me and you are currently working on ourselves right now, right? Because I don't want to steal too much of your time, and I do want whoever listens to this episode later on to know the value they can get from you if they live in the East Bay area. But like I mean, all those years of incarceration, I pushed my body to the extreme with every exercise. And for most of those years, as I read more magazines, as I got more educated, I learned more about the body. But it wasn't until like I really went to school and dove deep into anatomy and physiology that I really learned the body the way I know it now. Right. And so for so many years, I pushed my body too much. I worked out incorrectly. And I've done a lot of damage. Right. And just the lifestyle I once lived, I did a lot of damage to my body. And now as I train for certain events like my Spartan races, like I push myself really hard and those old injuries come back up, right? Mm-hmm. So you and I are currently working with that shockwave therapy, right? Yeah. Which is amazing, by the way. I've done like four sessions so far and I'm seeing progress. And once again, I didn't go in there that first day like, all right, Jeff, this is my pain, fix me so I can go be a fucking Spartan maniac. Like, no, yeah. I have races coming up. And because I have races coming up, I started the process now so that when I get to the race, I can be a lot better prepared. I can be more healed. I might not be 100% perfect, but I'm better if I just kept running on a bad ankle, or if I just kept doing pull-ups with my elbows hurting, and so we're taking that process, we're taking those steps, right? And I think that's what's very important about. There's this saying, paralysis by analysis, right? And so many people, they just think, they get stuck thinking about doing something for so long, they never actually do it. I'm going to lose weight. I want to lose weight. It's been 4 years you've wanted to lose weight. How about you do something about it? It might take you 4 years to lose weight, but at least you spent 4 years doing it and not 4 years thinking about it. Yeah. And I mean, like for me, I just, I don't always want to hack on like losing weight, but like for me as a drug addict, man, I told myself, I want to stop using drugs for so long, man, for so long. I want to stop going to prison for so long. I want to stop letting my family down for so long. And it wasn't until I just stopped doing it. And then I took the next step to do better and the next step to do better. And like, I'm not perfect, right? Like I only thing I've done right in the last almost 6 years is not put no drugs around my body, right? But I still get angry, I still get frustrated, I still yell and scream and have hissy fits and have rough days, But then I check myself and I say, all right, tomorrow's a better day, and I do a little bit better each day, a little bit better each day, a little bit better each day, and it's the same thing. And I think like in your field with what you're doing as well, like like every time someone shows up, every time I show up, I just use myself as an example because I don't want to like talk about anyone else's life, but I can talk about my story, right? Every time I show up to your office, you adjust me, we do the shockwave therapy, I feel better, right? And I feel a little bit better. And it helps me perform a little bit better in my life. And it helps me show up a little bit better for my family. It helps me know that like I won't throw up my back when I pick my kids up, or helps me know like if I could chase the kids around the park. And like these are my whys, right? Like, why do I go to a chiropractor? Because I want my body to work, and I know all the things I've done in the past have messed it up.
Yeah. And it's like your why is that it's like for us, right? Like working with you professionally, like on my chiropractic side, we're helping you, right? My office is helping you do you, which is the greatest thing about what we do in our office. And like, again, that was always my biggest why is how do I help people be better versions of themselves? And that's what I love about your podcast. And that's what I love about this, because the reality is, Paul, is like, this is like, right, you hit it on the nose, like perfectly. There's so much stuff out there. And really what it comes down to is just how do you be a better version of you? You don't need, and this is why I was saying, this is what I like, kind of what I was talking about with like the goal board things and vision boards. It's like, don't try to be somebody else. Be you, but be the best version of you.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
And so, and as a chiropractor, right, my goal is like, so you came in, right? It's like you could barely use your elbows, your foot. Well, you're. Yeah, I love you.
I don't know.
You're like, I'll run 8.5 miles on a broken ankle because I'm gonna do it.
I don't know about barely using it just hurt to use.
Yeah. You're like, I'll still do what I'm supposed to do, but I'll pay for it later.
Yeah.
Which I can't recommend professionally, but the reality is I get it. But yeah, so it's like we work with you so that you can be a better trainer, so that you can be a better father figure, that you can be a better coach. And one of the things that I always do in my office when I'm working with new clients is I always say, okay, so why now? Right? Because, oh God, and that's got to be so true in your world too, Paul, right? Like,
yeah,
everyone wants to be healthy. Everyone wants to be fit, but why now? What made you call me now? What made you walk in my door now? Because the why is so important. And so when I'm working with a client, they'll tell me things like, you know what, here's the thing. I went to go lift up my son the other day and I couldn't do it. Yeah. And I'm a 45-year-old male and I just couldn't lift up my boy. And that like broke my heart. And I was like, all right, who cares about anything else? I don't care about your pain anymore. I don't care about anything other than I want to make sure that we can get you back to playing with your kids in a way that makes you feel happy, that gives you life satisfaction, And so, like I said, I've always put my goals on trying to like, my big goal, my big why is trying to help people like you, Paul, do your life better, And so it's again, I think we've really touched on some really cool stuff here today. And I'm kind of excited about that it's like the why is the biggest part for sure. And ask for help. One of the greatest things I've ever heard from one of my coaches and one of my friends is success loves action. So I think this is probably like a really cool place to kind of like tie up is there's a difference between action and movement, right? So the way I like to think about it is, let's say you're going to go run a Spartan race, right? Just because that's something you and I do.
Yeah.
Movement is going online, watching YouTube videos on Spartan races. It's finding out where the closest race is. It's doing all this stuff that feels like you're doing something, but you're not doing anything. You're just kind of researching. Action would be, I'm going to sign up for a Spartan race. You put down your $27 or whatever it costs or $100, and you friggin' sign up for a race and you put it on. That's an action. Okay, I'm going to go for a run today. I'm going to go run a half mile. That's a sixth of what it means to get to an actual like Spartan sprint. But if that's where you're at today, just do that. Because success loves action, right? Don't spend all your time planning out the perfect protocol, planning out everything. It's like, just get out there and do something. Do something. Right. Again, if the whys are big enough, the hows will take care of themselves. I want to be a better parent. I want to be a better father figure. I want to be a better spouse. I want to be a better businessman. I want to be a better man, whatever that case may be. Okay, cool. Let's just do something today. Just something. It doesn't even have to be huge. Just 1%. Just do something. So when I talk to my kids and they're different. I mean, they're 8 and 5. So it's a very different world, but I'm always like, what'd you do today? And that's the question. So what did you do? It's not, what did you think about? Or like, it's like, okay, what did we do today? So, my son, this is a cool little story. I'll end with this. This weekend we went skiing and he's 5 years old and he's skiing black diamonds. Like, and I just love that about him because he'll just be like, Daddy, I want to do Porridge Bowl, which is like the big black diamond run at the ski resort we ski at. And I was like, all right, cool. Let's try it, and it wasn't pretty. It wasn't, he didn't go down it fast. He didn't go down it well. He didn't even do it well. But you know what? My little 5-year-old kid went right to the top of the cornice and just dumped right off, and he did it. And he made it to the bottom safely. I mean, I knew he was going to do it safely. I'm his dad. I'm not going to let him just like go dive off a cliff without anything. But I love that mentality of like, okay, I'm just going to try it. Right. And I think a lot of people have fear of failure and that you called it what? Analysis paralysis.
Yeah. Paralysis by
analysis. You think about all the things that can go wrong. You think about all the stuff and you just get caught in the motion without any action. So it's like, just go do it, man. If you want to start a podcast, who cares if you bring on someone who sounds like a fool?
Far from that, brother. Far from that.
Yeah. But, just do something. Just start. Just start. Yes,
sir. Well, Jeff, hey, it was good chatting with you. I know you and I could just talk all day long, but I know we both got busy schedules. And can you tell everyone that's, where they can find you?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, here's the thing. I love my office. We have a great location. We're in Castro Valley. We're right off Redwood Road, 580 interchange in the East Bay. I'm like a couple blocks up from where you are, Paul. And of course, if anyone of your clients wants to come in and get checked out, that's just an honor for me. I've always told people that my goal is not to fix you. My goal is to help you just heal better. And just be a partner in your process. I don't dictate anything to my patients. I just ask questions and I try to find out where you want to go. And I just try to help prod you in that direction from a healthcare point of view.
Awesome. Well, Jeff, it was so good to chat with you, brother. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. And for those of you listening, if you're in the East Bay area, Castro Valley, you can go see Dr. Jeff. If you can't find his office, send me a message. I will get you there. And I hope you all have an amazing day. Peace and love.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you for tuning in to the Becoming a Better You podcast. If you found value in today's episode, I'd love it if you'd share this podcast with someone you care about. If you appreciate the message I'm sharing, please give me a quick review and 5-star rating. This helps to spread the message further. And make sure to follow me on Instagram, _coach_Paul. With that being said, peace and love to all. I will catch you on the next episode.